What's the worst strategy that you can come up with? Maybe using Soak on a fire type and then a Hydro Pump. There's some pretty bad developer-intended strategies in Pokemon. Stuff that they put together that you think, well, that just doesn't make any sense. Why would they do this? Maybe it's a gimmick. Remember Swallow in Spit Up? What was that all about? It did nothing. I think it did less than nothing. Anyway, today we reacted to bad developer-intended strategies.
No secret that Game Freak's many design choices, most revolving around doubles, tend to be more than a little suspect. However, what
all of the doubles abilities are just weird. You think that they might have some kind of use, but they just don't. Especially when it comes to doubles moves, some of them are good. Instruct has been used to some success. Even right now, Extruct is being used. But man, those abilities, they're so bad. Telepathy. You can't hit your partner Pokemon with a move that would do damage to them like Earthquake? I think I'd rather have Swarm.
When it comes to putting together interesting strategies for players to use, they often do a great job. Who can forget the first time they realized Solar Beam doesn't have to charge under sunlight? Or that you could safely pair an Electric Weak Pokemon with a Lightning Rod Pokemon in doubles? Yeah, this video isn't about those. This is about the strategies Game Freak put in the game that have been complete and utter
oh my god, I'm sorry, that's so cute. Wait, hold on, we need to just take a look at that one again. That defense curl in Pokemon Stadium, look at him. That is adorable. That's brilliant. I love this. It's wonderful. But defense curl and rollout, I think he's going to talk about defense curl and rollout on this. Defense curl and rollout is such a funny little interaction. It doesn't really do much. Defense curl is kind of useless. Like maybe defense curl could, I don't know, be a little bit more helpful. Maybe it could increase your speed when you're using rollout too, because you're already in the ball, so you're going like really fast. So maybe it not only boosts the damage of rollout, but it boosts your speed, so you can outspeed your opponents too. But again, it's just like it's just sort of a weird combination. It makes sense in theory. I don't know if anyone's actually used defense curl rollout combinations though.
That have been complete and utter stinkers. They didn't happen by accident. They were put in there with knowledge, planning, and forethought. We have to wonder if they thought these would actually be used, or they just liked the combination from a lore perspective. The latter is definitely possible. For this video,
just
we're
the lore
not
thing.
going by any ascribed intent of the author.
Dream Eater is pretty bad too. Dream Eater maybe should work while the Pokemon's awake, but it does double damage if the Pokemon's asleep.
But by impact. And the fact that these strategies have had
I guess it only really works in thematic sense if it is asleep. I mean, some people daydream. Think about that. I daydream all the time. Sometimes I'll just stare off into the distance and I won't really be thinking of anything in particular. Like, ooh, what if the Space Marines attacked right now? What if those Chaos Space Marines attacking right now? But also I had superpowers so I could like fight them. Like, what if that happened? I'll think about that a lot. I'll look out the window and think about, ooh, what if Sonic was outside of the car and running alongside the car? Like, could we outspeed him? What if we hit him? What would happen then? I think about, wow, I was actually, okay, I did that a little bit right now, sorry.
Zero, zilch, zip, nada, impact. Let's jump right into them. Here are 5 of the worst strategies that Game Freak had intended.
Plus and minus has to be the worst one.
But before
completely
we start,
useless.
This video is sponsored by Monly, a top 5
Let's
language learning app
go!
with over 110 million downloads worldwide.
Yes!
It's fall and that means it's back to school time, and some of you probably have language courses to take. Luckily for us, Monly has a back to school sale. Monly is offering
毎日日本語勉強します. Monley can help me do that.
96% off lifetime access. And that's a steal because Monly offers language lessons in over 1,320 language combinations. What do you mean by combinations, you might wonder? Is this Pokemon? Well, Monly offers 41 foreign languages to learn from 33 native languages. So for me, my native tongue is obviously English. So I just inputted that, and now I can quickly start several American English to Japanese courses. And
oh my god, look at this! Gracias! Well, that's not Japanese. Konnichiwa, etc.
Monly is designed in a way to learn language speaking proficiently through daily use. To do so, it has daily lessons where I can build my proficiency in Japanese by taking 10-minute lessons every day. And the best part of
10-minute lessons, you say. 毎日授業. No, 毎日10分授業. Is that lesson? I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm trying my best to learn Japanese. It's a very hard language, okay? 日本語はとても難しい.
About it is that a lot of the content on here is practical and focus on conversations from very specific situations that you'd probably find yourself in. So for me, I selected travel as my primary reason for wanting to learn Japanese. And wouldn't you know it, there's travel specific lessons for me. All of of this and more when you download Monly. So if
私は休暇でここにいます. There is something in here. Oh, I am here on vacation. Oh, okay.
you want to practice,
I didn't realize there was English at the bottom.
steal all of this content and also support the channel to help us produce more content, click our link in the description below to take advantage of Monly's back to school sale and get 96% off lifetime access to all languages. And thank you so much to Monly for sponsoring this video.
Well, hey, maybe if I use Monly, I'd be Nihongo Jozu, good at Japanese. Yeah, this one's obviously awful. I don't know what they'll think with this one.
Awful Pokemon to begin with. Anyone using them in a serious singles or doubles battle almost surely does not have winning.
Oh, look at that chip, though. Wow.
So the audacity for Game Freak to...
Whoa, hey, all right. Now we're getting some damage. That Blissy's looking pretty upset. Right?
And they use both so that they can be used to activate their unique abilities is really staggering. Now, what is genuinely interesting about this pair is that since Plus requires a partner with the minus ability and vice versa...
Hey, why don't you just get a randomized game and then get plus or minus on the same Pokemon and then make sure that both of those are like Alakazam so it can take advantage of it? Wait, it boosts it? Oh no, it has to at least double it. If it doesn't at least double it, then take it back and get a refund. This is awful. This is terrible. You don't need this. In fact, no, it should septuple the special attack. It should make you so strong that you cannot die. And then maybe we'll see Plusle and Minun World Championships. Could you imagine? Plusle and Maridon? Plusle and Minun in the World Champs? Hey, that'd be sick. I think for just one generation, we should give it a big buff and just see how much fun we can have with it.
One cannot be activated without activating the other as well. It is a legitimately interesting concept for two strategies to be activated simultaneously like this, through partnership with the other. Sadly, that interest is purely theoretical here, as the second you step into the material reality of the idea, you realize how awful the application in its current form is. The most obvious qualm is that, yes, you have to use Plusle and Minun on the same team, which is going to lead...
Oh, it's just not doing much. It's just you have your boost and you double into Tyranitar. It's not resisted and you still can't kill it.
With the worst defensive integrity ever, given their non-existent bulk and only decent, not particularly impressive speed. Then,
for some reason, Plusle and Minun always seemed really bulky to me when I was playing the original third generation games. For some reason, I just couldn't knock them out like very easily. They always seemed really, really bulky to me. Every time I'd see him, I'd be like, oh, this freaking guy again. All right, here we go. Set the timer for 15 minutes. We're gonna be here for a while.
And you have to have them on the battlefield at the same time, which is an even bigger commitment. One is worthless without the other, and yet to pair them is to exacerbate their enormous list of weaknesses. That all is clear enough, but the real crime is the benefit you actually get from Plus and Minus. It is simply a 50% boost to special attack. The same
50%. You should get at least double.
Basically a +1 boost. Wow. Yes, it's not functionally the same as +1, as you could theoretically get a +6 and have the Plus and Minus boost on top of it.
Oh, okay. Who's doing that? Yeah, sorry. Just give me 5 turns to get myself set up, and I'll be ready to start this battle, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw on my trick choice specs strategy where I nasty plot 3 times so I get to +6, and I have my plus and minus, and then I trick the choice specs on it, so now I'm even stronger. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to one-shot a Pokemon.
Initially, whatever further boosts you accrue are going to go higher than simply adding a number to +1, because they're coming off of the actual special attack stat that has been raised, not adding to a stage of boosting. Just like a choice band Metagross that boosts its attack through meteor mashing is hitting harder than a non-banded Metagross that boosts its attack twice. A pair plus...
Wow, I didn't realize the mathematics works that way, though I guess that makes sense. If the baseline, yeah, I guess if items and abilities increase the baseline, then the baseline that then gets boosted would be boosted by more than individual boosts at a lower baseline. Ah, yes. It's like getting a Zenkai boost if you're a Super Saiyan.
Some Minun that are boosting with choice specs or nasty plot will be hitting harder than +3 or +2 respectively. Okay, cool, but that's it? A 50% special attack boost? You are pairing Plusle and Minun in a double battle. 2 frail electric types in a format where Earthquake is around every corner. You are redefining bravery. You should be receiving a Medal of Honor. This is all you get as your...
Yeah, I mean, everyone goes on about Sage and Park winning with the Patterrz, but I think we should consider the possibility if there's a Plusle and Minun World Championship, they need to go into the history books.
Reward 50% special attack.
Wolfie, if you're watching this, you know what to do. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Oh my god, please don't do that.
Nerve. Or probably just the beginning of story mode strategy so the player learns how to play double battles in Ruby and Sapphire. But anyways, Plusle and Minun should be so overjoyed that their cheerleading powers should surge through whatever you're playing the battle on and improve your health, wealth, and relationship with your parents. They should be so thrilled to not just be seeing battle, but to be
Speaking of Patterrz, I see a big one in the background.
They should be powering each other up way more than 50%. How about we make it a quasi-special Dragon Dance and they get a 50% speed boost too? Hey, if all those booster energy Pokemon can do it, it's the least these two and you can get for taking such a risk. And while we're at it, they should set electric terrain. I don't know what else, but man, it is such a
It should set electric terrain. It should also do your taxes. It should maybe cook you a tasty lasagna.
It's a minus concept to be wasted on such bad Pokemon.
Yeah, sorry guys. You know what's really messed up about the fact that Slacking has Truant is the fact that it doesn't also get skill swap, because that would be a crazy combination if it could do that. That would be amazing. I mean, I guess Slacking would be then too good if it could do that, right?
Who's ever tried to make Slacking or Regigigas work has had the same amazing idea. Well, if I can just get rid of the ability, all will be gravy. Well, there's nothing to be done for Slacking in singles other than hoping you run into someone using Skill Swap or Gastro Acid and managing to switch Slacking into it. To be completely fair and open to the possibility, these moves do have legitimate applications on some stall teams.
To be fair, this could be usable. Slacking is usable if you slap like a Choice Band or a Choice Scarf on it and just like throw out Giga Impacts. It is gonna end the match immediately if the opponent has one Pokemon left. Immediately. And also, you're pretty much getting a free kill no matter what. It seems like a bad strategy, but it can be used for pretty good effectiveness. Like if your opponent is setting up in front of you, setting up some Calm Minds, that's scary. You bring in your Choice Scarf, Giga Impact, you're pretty much guaranteed to kill unless it's, you know, a ghost type, or there is a ghost type, or it's a seal type, or if it's a rock type. As long as it's not any of those types, you're golden.
Who want to remove Magic Guard from Toxic Calm Minders or Poison Heal from Gliscor, but it would still be a conspiracy of the most outrageous happenstance if you were to pair Slacking with these Pokemon just so you could switch it into these moves on the off chance
it would be so sick if you did it though.
At some point, you'd surely realize you could just skip the Slacking part and run more Pokemon like these actually consistent ones. Plus, some teams run Worry Seed as their tactic against such Pokemon, and that doesn't work against Truant. So that's out.
Wait, why does Worry Seed not work against Truant?
But no less stupid. You have to wait out 5.
That doesn't make any sense. That seems like a scam. It doesn't work against Truants. I genuinely do feel like poor little Slacking is getting a bit scammed there, didn't he?
Agonizing turns, which will not work no matter how much you try and protect and or substitute your way through the problem. Oh, and for both of these, ability swap doesn't last once you switch out. And as much as we think of these Pokemon as unstoppable monsters only hindered by their ability, being able to win the game or close to it on one switch in is not the deck of reality either. Okay, so no dice for singles, but doubles, your teammate can do it. You can just get right.
Yeah, and then you kind of like sack off your teammate in order to get the skill swap off. But then I guess you can switch out, that's true.
Destruction as you skill swap or whatever the ability away. It's foolproof. I should know. Cypher Head Evice used this same strategy against me in Pokemon Coliseum. And
the fact that they do this though is so sick. I love the fact that they do this. This is such a high level strategy. Wait, why am I calling it high level when... I'm calling it high level when Full Swipe is literally like, no, this is actually a terrible strategy. Am I dumb? Am I washed? Do I don't know anything about Pokemon? I know one thing. I know that you can get a nice little bargain on Gamer Subs using code Patterrz. They just released new Pixel Cups. They're fantastic and amazing. You can get money off all of this wonderful stuff using code Patterrz to Gamer Subs. I'm just saying the links in the description. You can get cups, you can get merchandise, you can get anime waifus, you can just get a lot of this cool stuff. I recommend you give it a look.
Clean my clock real good. My unpurified Shadow Tropius did no chance and got crushed clawed into oblivion.
Who's using Shadow Tropius?
That Evice had baton past the Slacking a Swords Dance with his Scizor previously. Now that's the strategy. Anyway, indeed, the use of Skill Swap Truant in this...
And he's throwing X attacks on that? Okay, he's getting a bit greedy now, isn't he? The Slacking... Wait, I'm sorry. Why are you, as an endgame boss, X attacking a sleeping Pokemon? Are you a moron? Is he stupid?
Final boss battle illustrates the intent of Game Freak behind.
Oh, he actually did it to the freaking... Wait, does it do it to both Mons? If you X attack, does it X attack both Mons? That's interesting. Otherwise, he just gave an attack buff to Slowking, which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing some high-level strategies here. I feel like it's not a good idea.
Existence, especially as it takes place in the same generation as the introduction of all these elements. Sadly, it was not one of their brighter moments, because every turn is incredibly important in doubles, and the turn it takes to switch or suppress the hindering ability is risky. Number one, the strategy is the most obvious thing in the world to see coming, and so it's easy to target it and shut it down, especially because Slacking or Regigigas cannot protect to keep themselves safe, since then they'd also be protected.
Yeah, it is ridiculous that Regigigas straight up just can't protect, and also you would just target down the slacking on that turn, surely. And if you do target down the slacking with Pokemon that are most likely going to be faster, then the Slowking's going to go last, and it's going to have a turn where it's doing absolutely nothing.
Themselves from the ability change. Number 2, this risk is not worth the reward, since even if you do pull it off, which you might, but not without sustaining heavy, significant damage, as previously mentioned, Slacking and Regigigas are not actually so ridiculously unstoppable as to completely dominate the rest of the battle single-handedly,
but they are pretty good.
Not in a doubles format when they don't use spread moves, and especially when their normal typing leaves them almost entirely bereft of resists. Thus, you are still left with the question of why, without having a good answer. The closest you'll get is, well,
for fun.
I want to make
vibes.
Slacking or Regigigas work, which is cool and all, but not really competitively sound. You know what does work and establish itself thusly? Regigigas alongside Galarian Weezing and his—
Oh, yeah, of course. Regigigas and Galarian Weezing, I did forget about that, but the problem with that is, if you're entering a Regigigas into a fight, that means that you have access to all the other legendaries. If you could just run Calyrex Ice, Calyrex Shadow, Miraidon, Koraidon, why would you ever run Regigigas? It doesn't even make sense. All these other Pokemon have much better abilities, have much better variety in their moves, have better typings, and you're just gonna run you're just running a worse Pokemon just because you think it's funny. I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea because there's no tier in which Regigigas is allowed where infinitely better options are not also allowed. And if your Weezing dies, well, then your Regigigas is now useless again.
Utilizing gas. You know why? The effect is automatic. Regigigas is ready to go from turn 1, and Weezing doesn't have to dedicate itself to taking a turn to get rid of its ailment. The threat is right there. It really is all the difference in the world, and no cutesy attempt to manually remove the ability can match it.
There's so many drawbacks, though. Oh, I forgot the pledge moves.
Okay, we actually have—
This is such a nightmare to battle against in Radical Red, though.
Free credit here, both for the ambition and the complexity that goes into the dynamics here. So much so that we had to look them up and spent quite some time figuring them out. The reason the pledges are here is because they aren't used just about—
Wait, it's a combined move that did no damage? What was the point in that?
Because they are complicated and very, very specific in terms of actually pulling them off. Meaning—
Does it just power up? Wait, does one of them power up the other? I feel like it's going to get explained to us, but how do the pledge moves really work? They were introduced in Generation 5, which means you have to use them in doubles. But does one just power up the other? Do they both still attack?
You're going to be incredibly hard-pressed to actually fit them on a team, much less use them in a battle. The exception was, of course, Patrick Broderick, who top cut at 2014 Virginia Regionals with it, using a team—
Wow, let's go, Patrick! Damn, look at you with your Venusaur Charizard combo nation.
With Greninja, Venusaur, and Mega Charizard Y for incredible flexibility. The pledges have a Plusle and Minun-esque dynamic and how one of the two elements need the other to function. Except, of course, the Pokemon aren't nearly as bad. In fact, they're quite good, but they are restricted to starter Pokemon only. Well, and Mew, but that's not allowed in VGC. Anyway, both Pokemon—
come on, let Mew in. What's Mew gonna do? I mean, Mew could be fantastic. Mew's not gonna do much. Let Mew in.
Have on the field have to have your selected 2 Water, Fire, and Grass pledge, and that's where you both use your respective pledge on the same turn. Here's where it gets tricky. Instead of both Pokemon attacking with their respective pledge, the Pokemon moving first, and in exchange, the second Pokemon to move will attack with a pledge that is strengthened to 150 base power and receives a unique secondary effect. Which pledge is used depends on which of the 2 pledges hits the other super effectively. For instance, if Blastoise and Charizard use Water pledge and Fire pledge respectively, Water is super effective against Fire, so Water pledge will be the one used. Remember though, it's still the slower Pokemon that attacks, even if it's not necessarily their pledge. For instance, if—
What is going on? Dude, people say that some of my rules in my Then We Fight videos are too complicated. This is ridiculous. Hold on, there's like 7 levels here. It seems pretty simple to understand. So one of the moves is used, the one that is super effective on the other, but it is used by the Pokemon that is slower, and the slower Pokemon could use, like, Grass Pledge, even if it's Blastoise, because it's slower. That's so weird! Why would you ever use—
Superior and Samura are using Grass and Water Pledge. Grass is super effective on Water, so Grass Pledge will be used. But Samura is the slower Pokemon, so it will be the one using Grass Pledge.
What? Okay, the secondary effect of this must be insane. It has to be the greatest secondary effect of all time. The secondary effect better be kills your opponent immediately. Also, you can take any item from their house that you want.
Yes, it took us quite some time to wrap our heads around that. Oh, and we haven't even mentioned their spectacular 4-turn field effects. Grass Pledge quarters the speed of all opposing Pokemon. Basically, the pre-Gen 7 Paralysis speed drop.
Oh, wow. Wait, quarters? Of all opposing— Wait, that's actually really good.
Water Pledge doubles the chance of secondary effects from every move.
I mean, that's not as good. Doubling the chance of secondary effects is basically like adding Serene Grace to the rest of your moves, which could be useful depending on what moves you use. I mean, Ironhead's going to be a 60% flinch chance. Wait, hold on. If you pair that with Serene Grace, would it not just be a guaranteed flinch? Because it'd be 120? Because it go from 30 doubled to 60 by Serene Grace, doubled by the pledge to 120. Would it just be guaranteed flinches?
By one's own team. Basically, Serene Grace for everybody. Fire Pledge damages all non-fire types on the opposing team for 12.5% damage per turn. Basically, the same as Magma Storm's chip damage Gen 6 and on. So
okay, I mean, that's solid too. That's a good one. Honestly, I think that quartering the speed, having that amazing speed control is probably the most beneficial thing that you can have.
The potential is certainly incredibly interesting, but pulling the pledges off is incredibly convoluted. The pledge type you want to use has to be the super effective one of the two, and it goes off at the faster Pokemon speed, but it's going to be the slower Pokemon and its special attack that actually...
Wait, it goes off at the faster Pokemon speed, but it's the slower Pokemon using it? So, oh wait, that's even more like... mind-boggling. So we could use something that's not actually stab, and you could use it on like the wrong Pokemon, so its special attack isn't as good as on another Pokemon. So you really have to think about the speed in this one. That's so... why'd they program it like this? This must have been so hard to program, only for no one to ever use it apart from Patterrz. Patterrz has the Japanese developers at Game Freak crying because someone finally used a pledge move.
Uses the move. It just gets more and more specific out of an already specific premise. Really, the pledges are on this list because the concept is too clever for its own good. The strategy is more or less obscure. Most players barely know it exists and certainly don't know how they work. They just know it's complicated and uber specific, i.e. not worth the hassle.
Sure, I mean, yes, but it is also really good. I love Defense Curl and Rollout. It is pretty silly, though.
Specific, but it's really goofy. Rollout is a physical rock move that doubles in base power with each consecutive hit, which sounds
Do you guys notice that most of the Pokemon that use Rollouts, Miltank, Donphan, the Pokemon that are really known for Rollout aren't rock types, so they can't take advantage of the stab boost? In fact, I can only really think of Geodude. That's a rock type that really uses Rollout. I can't really think of any of the other ones. So it's not really solid, is it?
Realize that it starts at 30 BP. So the first turn is nothing, and the second turn 60 base power is pretty bad too. Even if you're factoring in stab. If you can make it to that third turn, you're in business.
The Squish Skarmory looks so funny though.
Well, you know how sometimes even one turn is too much to get rid of your Slacking or Regigigas' ability? Yeah, nobody is giving you these 3 turns to build up your Rollout. Note, by the way, that we said hit, not use, because yeah, that's super fun. 90% accuracy can...
oh yeah, don't miss, by the way.
...throw off your whole...
I don't think you should be able to miss Rollout. I feel like that's a real dampener on someone's day.
And make you reset to your pitiful original power. Game Freak's goofiness doesn't end there, though, because they give you another method of doubling Rollout's power. Use Defense Curl beforehand. Yes, Defense Curl. That move you get rid of as soon as possible on any
I guess it makes sense, though. It gives you some value on Defense Curl. So what, it starts at a 60 base power, goes to 120 on the second turn, and then like, what, 240? 480? Is that how that works?
Oh, okay, Chansey has a slight reason to use Defense Curl over Reflect and RBY, but
oh my god, that is ridiculous. Why do you look like that?
But it's also not setting up a Rollout sweep. If the proposition of several free turns for Rollout was preposterous, setting it up with Defense Curl was even more absurd, not least because you were running a moveset.
Hold on, just give me 7 business days for me to set up my attack. I'll be ready in a while.
With Defense Curl and Rollout, even the most die-hard Shuckle fan, the trainer from Olivine City who gives you the Shuckle as protection from your rival, would think twice about taking up half of a moveset on something so frivolous. So do not...
There is Shuckle, but he does have 5 attack.
Nothing in the hopes your opponent would simply lie there and take it. For the concept to actually go anywhere, you need to give it some actual power that didn't take forever to get going. But you couldn't just have it immediately explode into a world destroyer either. Yeah, this one was not well thought out. Weak moves are fine as early game fodder like Tackle, but seeing as this can balloon into the strongest attack in the game, i.e. the famous calc where Shuckle does something like 4 trillion damage to Lediba, it feels like it was supposed to have been a bit more than that.
Oh, poor Lediba. I love, you know what? I'll say it right now. I love Lediba. I'm not a huge fan of Ledian. In fact, it's one of my least favorite Pokemon of all time. Even though people do say that Ledian is an anagram of Daniel, which is... I know it is. Don't you worry. I do love Lediba because I love ladybugs. I'm just sad that the ladybug Pokemon is so bad. I wish the ladybug Pokemon was cooler. Like Orbeetle. Orbeetle's cool. Kind of looks like a ladybug. So, you know, I like that one. That was sick.
Finally, another non-double selection, but one of the most classic of all noob traps. Ever since Gen 1, Dream Eater has seemed like a perfect complement to the sleep moves many great Pokemon carry. At 100 base power, it's actually stronger than the go-to move Psychic, and it heals half of the stronger damage it's dishing out. Sign me up. Why did Jink...
It sounds cool in theory, right? But unfortunately, you do have to land a hypnosis, so good luck with that one. If a Spore user gets Dream Eater, it's Jover. Does Calyrex get Spore and Dream Eater? Maybe.
And Exeggutor not use this move non-stop. Well, it's not really that surprising, at least not if you know Sleep Claws exist. If you were one of those kids playing Gen 4...
Oh, I forgot about Sleep Claws. You know what? But actually, hold on. In VGC, maybe.
Wi-Fi battles using your action replay Darkrai to Dark Void everything in sight without any idea you're supposed to limit it to one at a time, then yeah, Dream Eater seems pretty good. In fact, it was the quintessential strategy. To see such history in action, see Maryland versus Untouchable. However, for the sophisticated, refined, and classy among us who are...
Wait, is Blissey just called Lucky in Japanese, or is that a nickname? Oh, it's not called... Wait, it's called Happiness? Happiness. It's just called Happiness. It's the Happiness Pokemon. All right, hey, I mean, sure. All right, I mean, that makes sense. What do we call Raikou the Thunder? We'll just call Raikou Thunder. We'll just call Entei Volcano. I guess that's just a nickname then.
See Maryland versus Untouchable. However, for the sophisticated, refined, and classy among us who respected the law of sleep, Dream Eater quickly slips from our minds, as do those forgettable dreams we often have that Hypno allegedly dislikes eating. The problem with Dream Eater is that it only works if the opponent stays in and lets it, or if Sleep Claws doesn't exist. Neither are present in the competitive scene, because sleep is so insanely busted it necessitates the claws, and leads some players to demand a universal sleep ban like ones enacted in Gens 5 and 9, but that's neither here nor there.
A universal sleep ban? Wow, interesting. I wonder why sleep isn't used. Well, I guess Spore is like spammed all the time in VGC. That is true.
Claws active until the sleeper is gone, yet they'll just have something else get shut down again. After you sleep something, you can't use your sleep move again. So you are effectively playing with 3 moves. It is beyond wasteful to have another move slot that you will basically never use, especially because yes, the healing is nice, but it's not necessary. The power is nice, but it's not necessary. Psychic gets the...
Yeah, most Pokemon that you would use, Dream Eater, are pretty frail and wouldn't really benefit a huge amount from healing anyway. Like Darkrai for a legendary is pretty frail. Gengar's pretty frail. Hypno's a little bulky, I suppose. Jinx is frail.
Dream Eater does nothing but convince you it's going to do something before it lets you down. That's the real Dream getting eaten. Now, in Game Freak's defense, they made up for this with the addition of the superior Nightmare in GSC, which has a legitimately great niche for punishing all the sleeping Pokemon for 25% per...
Nightmare is one of the most useless freaking... But it has such a cool animation as well. Nightmare is so useless that no one would ever use it, but it has a sick animation in this game. Look at that, he's got a little fella. He's doing Nightmare.
In a way no attacking moves can. If anything, the passive damage of Nightmare helps make the attacking moves stronger. Additionally, much later on, they take the abusing status opponent's angle further with Hex. And that's it. We appreciate the many cool strategies Game Freak's thrown out there, but there are some real clunkers we thought were deserving. See you next time.
Oh my god, well, hey, please make sure that you subscribe to Full Swipe Gaming. I do love some bad developer intended strategies, and if you want to see more of my dumb face, then you can always subscribe here as well.